Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on advancing non-invasive prenatal testing, Vazyme's comprehensive approach. My name is Judy, and I will be your host for this session. We are thrilled that you have joined us today. In this webinar, we will explore a fast, accurate, secure, and scalable solution for efficient cfDNA testing. Our speaker today is Dr. Yang, Vazyme's senior technical expert. We will start this presentation followed by a live Q&A session. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat, and we will address them at the end of the talk. Without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Yang to take us through today's topic.
Well, thank you so much, Judy. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is SeungOok, and I'm very pleased to be here with you today. So today, I'll be sharing the Vazyme's comprehensive approach to non-invasive prenatal testing, in other words, NIPT. So many of you know NIPT is a transforming prenatal care by offering a safer and more reliable way to screen for genetic conditions early in pregnancy. So in this session, I'll walk you through how Vazyme supports this field from the core technologies that make NIPT possible to the solutions that we provide that ensure accuracy, efficiencies, and accessibility. So let's explore together Vazyme's NIPT solutions. So first, here is the quick overview of what we'll cover today. So first, I'll start with the market and history of the NIPT and how it has evolved and why it has become such an important part of the modern prenatal care. And second, I'll introduce Vazyme's NIPT solutions. In this section, I'll highlight the key technologies and advantages that make our approach unique and reliable. And third, we'll look at the global acceptance and customer satisfactions. So which means I'll share some of the insights on how our solutions are being used in different regions and how customers are responding. And finally, I'll wrap up with some conclusions where we'll summarize the key take-home messages and look ahead at future directions. So first of all, market and history of the NIPT. So, by definition, the non-invasive prenatal testing, or NIPT, is a screening method that examines small fragments of fetal DNA, so-called cell-free fetal DNA, aka cFF DNA, which circulates in the mother's blood during the pregnancy to see if the fetus is at risk for having a chromosomal disorder. So how it works, a simple blood draw is performed. So usually from the mother's arm, and the sample contains both maternal DNA and fetal DNA. And the cFF DNA fragments, they are analyzed using advanced techniques like next generation sequencing to detect chromosome abnormalities. And when it comes to when to perform, so NIPT can be performed from approximately 10 weeks of gestation when sufficient fetal DNA is present in the maternal bloodstream. So some labs even offer testing as early as 9 weeks. It really depends on the panel and the technologies. And the next one is what it screens for. So most NIPT panels include Down syndromes, which is trisomy 21, and Edwards syndrome, trisomy 18, and Pato syndromes, trisomy 13. And advanced options may offer detection of microdeletions or duplications through their performance varies. And last but not least, the advantages and the limitations. So because the method is safe and non-invasive, there are no risk to the fetus nor mother. So just a simple blood draw is required. And it is more accurate than older screening methods. So it provides a higher detection rate and fewer false positives compared to the traditional serum screening. But however, it's not a definitive method, meaning a positive result is a risk indicator, not a diagnosis. So that means a positive result should be confirmed with a further diagnostic testing, like amniocentesis or CVS, things like that. So the global market for non-invasive prenatal testing was estimated at about 4.5 billion US dollars in 2023 and is projected to reach 9.2 billion US dollars by 2030, growing at a CAGR of 10.7% from 2023 to 2030. So what factors are driving the growth in the non-invasive prenatal testing market? So the growth in the NIPT market is driven by the several factors. So including the increasing demand for early and accurate prenatal screening, particularly in high-risk pregnancies. So advances in next-generation sequencing and other genetic analysis technologies have improved the accuracy and the efficiencies and affordabilities and etc., which makes it more accessible. And the rising awareness of genetic disorders and the benefits of early detection have also contributed to the broader adoption of NIPT as well. And the regulatory approvals for NIPT in several countries, combined with the government support for maternal health care, have further fueled the market growth as well. So in addition, the expansion of health services and direct to consumer testing models have made NIPT more accessible. So in result, increasing its adoption among expectant mothers worldwide. So here I show you this chart. So this chart shows why children under 5 years old died in 2019, and depending on how developed their country is, and is measured by a neonatal mortality rate. In other words, NMR. So how many babies die before 28 days old? So on the left, you see the countries where many babies died, meaning very high in NMR, neonatal mortality rate. And as you go towards the right, countries where very few babies die, meaning very low in NMR. So each colored segment, purple, green, pink, red, and etc., they represent a cause of death as a percentage of a total under 5 deaths within a given neonatal mortality rate group. So here is an interesting part. So congenital anomalies, which is a birth defect, so account for only 4% of under 5 deaths in very high NMR regions. But on the other hand, there is a rise significantly to 30% in very low NMR regions. So there's a shift in the cause of death pattern, meaning countries with a high NMR, like Africa or developing countries, have more children die from preventative infectious diseases like malaria, diarrhea, pneumonia, and etc. But countries with low in NMR So we're talking about developed countries, like most of the European countries and North America and Northeast Asia, etc. The medical system largely controls the infectious disease. And so the birth defects become the leading cause of child mortality. And since congenital anomalies account for up to 30% of child death in developed countries. So early identification through prenatal screening, like NIPT, becomes vital. So before the introduction of NIPT, prenatal genetic testing involved a number of significant challenges. So both medical and emotional for expectant families. So the most reliable methods at the time were invasive procedures such as amniocentesis and CVS. So these tests require inserting a needle into the uterus to collect the fetal or placental tissues. So while they offer diagnostic accuracy, so they came with a real risk of miscarriage, ranging from 0.5% up to 2%, depending on the procedures and the timing. And naturally, this created a great deal of anxiety for parents and oftentimes led to difficult decision making. So for those who wanted a safer options, maternal blood serum screening was available, but it was far from perfect. So these tests had high false positive rates, sometimes as high as 5%, could miss up to 20% cases of Down syndromes and etc. So the inaccurate results often led to the unnecessary invasive follow-up procedures. So further, compounding the stress and potential harm. So in the traditional approach, like I mentioned earlier, screening starts around 12 weeks to create a risk profile. And this is known as maternal serum screening test. So the first trimester screening uses the markers like NT and HCG and PPA, etc. But still has about a 25% of misdetection rate. And the second trimester screening, and this adds markers such as AFP and HCGs and inhibin A, etc., and even higher misdetection rate around the 30%. And if the result indicate a high risk, the prenatal diagnosis with karyotyping is performed, and this step is more accurate, but still has a small misdetection rate of about 2% and carries about a 1% risk of a fetal loss. So because it is invasive. So in contrast, NIPT offers a detection accuracy greater than 99.99% and poses no risk to the fetus, so making it a safer and more reliable option for prenatal screening. So let me walk you through this diagram, and which shows how the discovery of circulating cell-free DNA, or cfDNA, has developed over time. So it's all started back in 1948 when cfDNA was first detected in normal blood, and this was a major breakthrough, although the scientists didn't have any much clue of what it's for. But then 1966, the researchers noticed that the sick patients had much higher levels of cfDNA, and this led to the idea that cfDNA might tell us something about, something important about what's happening inside the body. And in 1989, scientists were able to trace the origins of this cfDNA, helping them understand where it came from. And so whether from damaged cells or cancers or other sources and etc. And in 1999, they started looking at something even more detailed, like methylations of cfDNA, which helps reveal how genes are turned on and turned off, and etc. And moving forward to 2000, mitochondrial cfDNA was discovered both in healthy and sick individuals, adding another piece to the puzzle. And finally, 2015, researchers were able to show that the cfDNA levels are linked with vascular dysfunctions. So in other words, blood vessel problems. And so fetal DNA fragments are usually shorter than the mother's DNA, and the size difference helps scientists easily find and identify fetal DNA in a sample blood from the mother. So CFF DNA can be detected as early as 4 weeks into the pregnancy, and by 10 to 20 weeks, it makes up around 10 to 15% of the mother blood plasma. So after birth, the CFF DNA quickly disappears from the mother's body when the placenta is delivered. So because it appears early and is easy to test from a blood sample, so CFF DNA is a useful tool for early screening of genetic conditions like chromosomal abnormalities in the baby. So NIPT can be offered to all pregnant women, regardless of their risk level. There are groups considered to be at high risk for chromosomal abnormalities, and these include the women of advanced maternal age, those with positive maternal serum screening results, and a family history of conditions like trisomy 21, 18, and 13, or sex chromosome aneuploidies, and cases where a parent carries a translocation involving one of the tested chromosomes. And even women without these risk factors, classified as a low risk patients, can consider NIPT as well, as it offers a safe, non-invasive way to screen for certain chromosomal conditions. So this aligns with the guidelines from the American College of OBGYN, which recommend that all pregnant women be given the option of NIPT. So let's take a look at what Vazymes can offer in terms of NIPT. So Vazyme's NIPT solution is designed to be fast, reliable, and safe. So first, it's fast, meaning from sample to report, it just takes 1 day. It just takes 1 day. So it requires only one technician to process up to 96 samples. And secondly, it is reliable, meaning with over 99.9% of specificity for detecting 3 most common trisomies. And Down syndromes, trisomy 21, Edwards syndromes, trisomy 18, Pato syndromes, and 13. And third, it's safe, meaning the all analysis is performed locally with no need to transfer the data externally. So which ensures privacy and security. So from just the small maternal blood samples, we can analyze both maternal and fetal cfDNA, and also prepare the library and detect potential chromosomal anomalies, all in a highly efficient and secure workflows. So we can start with the sample preparations for maternal blood, if you look at the workflow. And next, we performed cfDNA extractions, and we Vazyme provide both the extraction kit and compatible automations. So both manual extractions and automatic extractions can be done. And the extracted cfDNA is then quantified to ensure accuracy before the sequencing. And moving to the second phase, we perform library preparation using Vazyme's streamlined kit, followed by the library quantification for quality control. And the prepared library is then loaded onto a sequencer, and the data is analyzed locally using Vazyme's software for safe and secure reporting. So all the steps marked with a red check are products that we provide, meaning we can support almost the entire process from extraction to the analysis with the Vazyme's own solutions. So this table shows our complete NIPT product lineup for both Illumina and MGI platform. So for cfDNA extractions, we offer the N904-C1 kit, along with the VMP32 automation instruments. So this step takes only about within an hour. And as you can see, not only the cfDNA extraction kit, but also the library preparations and others are CE approved. But please note that it doesn't mean that the whole NIPT test system is CE approved for clinical use. And the next is library preparations. For Illumina users, we provide ND609. And for MGI users, we provide NDM609. And both compatible with our automatic liquid handler, also known as Panda. And this step is completed within 4 hours. And we also supply all supporting materials, including magnetic beads, adapters, and the qubit quantification kit. And for MGI, we also provide the circularization kit as well. And finally, for analysis, we recommend our software, which runs on standard high-performance servers and delivers a result in just 3 to 9 hours, which highly depends on the sample load. So in total, the full workflow from blood sample to report can be done within 20 to 26 hours, which makes it a truly one-day solution for NIPT. So this is the MGI platform NIPT solution workflow, just for example, using our automated Panda workstations. So we start with the 400 microliters of plasma for cfDNA extractions using the VMP extraction machines. And next, the library preparations and normalizations and pooling are automated on the Panda workstations, processing up to 96 samples in under 4 hours. And finally, the circularizations and DMB preparation are done manually before sequencing, and automation here significantly reduces the hands-on time and increases throughput. So with Vazyme's NIPT solutions, you can choose the level of coverage that fits your need. So our standard NIPT gives you accurate detection of a fetal fraction, gender, common trisomies, rare autosomal aneuploidies, and sex chromosome disorders. So for those who want a deeper look, our upcoming NIPT Plus goes beyond. So which means it covers all the standard tests plus 92 types of deletion and duplication syndromes, which offers a truly comprehensive view of a fetal health. So this slide shows our preliminary data of some of the genetic syndromes that can be detected by the NIPT Plus test. So with our NIPT Plus, not only screens for common chromosomal aneuploidies, just as a trisomy 21, 18, and 13, but it also detects a range of microdeletion syndromes, for example. So in the table, you can see the name of each syndromes and the chromosomal regions affected called the cytoband and the type of the genetic change, which in these cases is always a deletion. And the size column shows the approximate size of the missing DNA segment in megabases. So some examples include, like for example, 𝗡𝗃𝗀 syndrome, and also 1p36 deletion syndromes, and Phelan-McDermid syndromes. The range of the sizes is quite broad, from just under 3 million base to over even 60 million base, as in 18q deletion syndromes. So by covering these syndromes, NIPT Plus offers a broader detection scope than the standard NIPT, which allows earlier and more comprehensive prenatal insights. So let's take a look at the performance. So from November 2016 to June 2023, a total of about approximately 30,000 clinical NIPT samples were followed up. And the average gestation age at the testing was about 16.9 weeks, and the median maternal age was 31 years. So looking at the age distributions, about 23% of the tested mothers were 35 years or older, and while the majority, nearly about 77%, and which was under 35 years of age. And in total, 239 positive cases were detected, and giving a positive rate of 0.88%. So among these, 147 cases were common trisomies, like 21, 18, and 13. 65 cases involved the sex chromosome aneuploidies, and 27 cases were rare autosomal aneuploidies. And so these data highlights the broad range of chromosomal abnormalities that Vazyme NIPT can identify in real-world clinical usage. So for trisomy 21, the sensitivity is 99.48%, and the specificity is 99.98%, with a positive predictive value, PPV, of about 95%, and a negative predictive value above 99.99%. And for trisomy 18, the sensitivity is 97.67%, and specificity is 99.98%, and the PPV is over 82. For trisomy 13, the sensitivity is 95.24%, with a specificity of 99.96%, but the PPV is lower at around 49%, which reflects the relatively rare and complex to detect the trisomy 13. And for sex chromosome aneuploidies, so the sensitivity is 99%, and the specificity is 99.94%, and PPV is around 76%. And for rare autosomal aneuploidies, the sensitivity is 95.24%, and the specificity is about 99.94%, and the PPV is 37%. So here you see the positive predictive value, which is less than 90%, even though the sensitivity and specificity looks fairly strong. So what I can tell you is that the PPV depends not only on the test itself, but also on disease prevalence. So like, for example, if you're talking about trisomy 21, which is Down syndrome, So the trisomy 21 is the most common aneuploidy. So this is most frequent. The PPV is high, which is greater than 95. But then when it comes to the trisomy 18 and 13, they're much rarer. So when prevalence is low, even a highly accurate test will generate some false positives, making the PPV drops. And for extremely rare abnormalities, like rare autosomal aneuploidies, the PPV can be as low as 37%. But across all conditions, the negative predictive value remains extremely high, so close to or above 99.99%, meaning a negative result is highly reliable. So with our setup, you can analyze up to 32 samples within just 3 hours and right in your own laboratory. So the software interface is very simple and user-friendly, making it super easy for operators to perform the analysis with minimal training. And most importantly, the all genetic data stays in your own lab, which ensures the maximum data security and patient privacy. So on the right, you can see an example of NIPT medical report output. So showing results for trisomies, for example. So rare autosomal aneuploidies and quality control metrics, and along with the interpretation sections. So this local analysis approach gives you a fast turnaround and easy operations and peace of mind regarding data protections. So on this slide, I'd like to highlight the compatibility of our NIPT solutions with the various sequencing platforms. So as you can see, our workflow is designed to work seamlessly across both Illumina and MGI sequencers. So for Illumina, using the 𝗡𝗚cix 550 with SC75 mode, so we can achieve about 400 million reads, which supports around 48 samples, NIPT samples in one run. And on the MGI side, so with the G50 platform, we can reach 500 million reads per flow cell, also supporting 48 NIPT samples. And if we look at the higher throughput MGI, which is MGI G400, the output increases significantly to 1.5 billion reads, so which allows for up to 140 samples per flow cell. That's about 35 samples per lane across the 4 lanes. So whether your lab is running on Illumina or MGI, our solution offers a flexibility and scalability that ensures your maximum throughput while maintaining the reliable results. So here, I will briefly share with you our global acceptance and how customers appreciate our NIPT solutions. So our NIPT solutions have gained worldwide acceptance globally, and the feedback from our partners consistently highlights the 3 key strengths. So first, it's a reliability and accuracy. So the clinicians and laboratories emphasize that our solutions deliver results that they can trust. And second, efficiency and scalability. Whether a lab processes a few hundred or several thousand samples per month, our workflows support stable and high throughput performance. And customer confidence. So perhaps, I think most importantly, the customers express a strong satisfactions and continue to trust in our solutions. So which reinforces the value that we provide to healthcare systems worldwide. I mean, even though the full workflow is not certified as a one package, but the key reagents can have, has CE-IVD certifications. So which means this gives local labs confidence in product quality and safety. And since critical steps like cfDNA extractions and library preparations and quantification reagents and etc., they're already comply with the EU standards. So I'd like to conclude with these known facts, the benefits that we can provide to you. So first, it's a proven accuracies. We briefly shared with you our high sensitivity and high specificity of our NAPT solutions in the real world result. And it has been extensively validated based on the little over 27,000 clinical samples followed up. And also it's rapid turnaround. And from the cfDNA extraction to the data analysis, it takes just one day, single day. And last but not least, local data analysis. Up to 32 samples can be analyzed within 3 hours, entirely on site, which ensures the 100% data privacy and external transfer with no external transfers. And besides the strength above that I mentioned, also there are other benefits that you may be enjoyed with. So, broad detection capabilities, which means, not only the standard, NIPT covers, which is the trisomy 21, 18, and 13. There is NIPT plus, which is in preparation as we speak. So it's coming soon. The NIPT plus will detect 92 deletions and duplication syndromes with 20 million reads per sample. And also there's a flexibility and compatibility. So meaning, again, we successfully validated it on Illumina and NGI platforms across many different countries, which supports both the automated and manual workflows. Last but not least, it's cost effective. So it's a ready to use reagents, which saves about, 1.5 hours per run and reduce error risk. Also delivers a competitive per sample cost advantage. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for participating in this webinar. And if you have any questions, I'd like to entertain your questions from now on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Yang, for the informative session. Now let's move on to our Q&A session. Does anyone have any questions? Don't be shy. This is a great chance to get insights directly from our expert. It looks like we don't have any questions at the moment. That's perfect fine. If anything comes to mind later, feel free to reach out to us after this session. That brings us to the end of today's webinar. Thank you all for joining, and a big thank you to Dr. Yang for the excellent presentation. Please take a moment to fill out the feedback form. Your input is invaluable to us. Thanks again for being with us today. We look forward to seeing you in our future webinars. Have a great day. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.